Well, extracting content from documents is a very critical part of any contract-related product. It's not the only piece of data we might want about a document. Very commonly, there are pieces of metadata we might care about documents. A very common one is the language in which a document is written, or languages as the case may be. While this is a very solved problem at this point, it's still a very critical task in a lot of these pieces of software because it might tell you who to route the document to, because if it's written in French, you want to route it to someone who speaks French. Though ideally, you also want to route it to someone who has familiarity with the jurisdiction in which a document is written. So again, if you want to go from France or Quebec, while they both speak French, they also have slightly different laws. And so routing to the correct person is also critical. But figuring out what the jurisdiction is or the governing law of a contract is also dealing with content extraction. And so language classification, you can get anywhere. Anyone can provide this to you, though again of varying qualities depending on the nature of the document, whether it was born digital or born physical, and the various caveats that come with those two things. If it's born digital, it's very often very easy to figure this out because that data is embedded within the document itself. Whereas with a born physical document, you again have to start dealing with OCR and all the caveats that provides and the quality of OCR provided, as well as the downstream robustness of language classification in whatever product you happen to use. But beyond language classification, we have the idea of document type classification. What we mean by this is moving beyond just a contract or non-contract. What type of contract is it? Is it a service agreement? Is it an employment agreement? Is it a business association agreement? Whatever it happens to be, we might need to know this, again, to route it to the correct person or to apply a particular set of machine learning models to it to pull out the correct information. Because no one machine learning model is likely going to work on all document types. There are going to be document type specific nuances that different machine learning models might pull out or be incapable of pulling out depending on the case. And so by having good document type classification, we can very easily recommend the right types of models to use, as well as routing it to the right people, or potentially having further additional review in the case of, say, a restrictive covenant agreement that is an NDA that you want to have gone over with a fine-tooth comb to make sure there are no loopholes or gaps, because you don't want to disclose intellectual property or allow the ability for intellectual property to be disclosed. So having a good, robust document type classification system is often critical to ensuring users get large amounts of value out of your system because you can ensure that they're seeing the most correct and timely information about those types of documents. Because again, not all machine learning models are going to apply to all documents. Now, of course, some document type classification systems will have more or less types. You'll have to kind of explore whether those types are applicable to your use cases, whether it goes deep enough or if it's granular enough. Does it pull out different types of restricted covenant agreements, or does it just understand that it's a restrictive covenant agreement? And if they don't provide the types you want, can you extend their system? Can you build your own? These are all critical questions to understand and incorporate into your system depending on the answers. It might mean you need to do a little bit more work. It might mean you need to do a little bit less. Ideally, with any of these systems, it's that you need to do less. But none of these systems is perfect, and in many cases they're trying to hit as many use cases as possible, and so they won't always hit every use case exactly.